Naga. Ready? Nice to meet you, sir. What brings you here today? Have you? Okay. Probably the times when I haven't read here.
Oh my God, that's a gigantic bag of Doritos.
A cheesy snack bought by someone who is lactose intolerant and very healthy. It's really funny to me. I don't know why. So I was like, Amy, did you bring like cheese snacks? You can't even eat those.
No, and this spot's available here.
Where I was sharing a meeting and I
Yeah, that you get your share of Doritos. Amy.
You get a little snacky.
Okay, 1200.
Grammarian, you're going to be the grammarian, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, because Julie had come, so I'm glad you're there. I'm the D, so I just want to be sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I just really wanted to hit that gavel.
Elected.
Thank you. Our president is running a few minutes behind, so I will start our meeting today. Just want to say good afternoon and thank you all for joining me for this lovely Meet Toastmasters meeting. It does look like we have a guest. Naga, would you just like to, I know you've been here a couple of times, but if you want to stand up and introduce yourself again.
Hey, this is Naga, and I work at T-Mobile. I've been here a couple of times, and I'm really interested to join this club. So that's the reason I was talking to Vivek when I got the form. So I'll be joining this club next week.
Officially joining?
I'm really interested and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Well, welcome again and
Thank you.
congratulations. That's great. I love that. Steve, hello. I just want to take a moment to remind everybody if you have your leadership books to pass along to someone to be evaluated for your role today so you get credit. And the theme of our meeting is rainy days, which I think is quite ironic that the day that I picked the theme it was pouring down rain, and it's rained every single day since, except for today, which I'm not complaining. I'm perfectly happy with it, but I'm very excited to share some weird facts with you today about the rain. But before we do that, I would love to call up our general evaluator, Mr. Dipendra, who will introduce his evaluation team.
Hello everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful week. We're only 2 days away from Friday. Friday is supposed to be sunny. But of course that can change, right? I have a wonderful team of evaluators, and I'd like to first thank Vivek for stepping in and volunteering. Vivek, will you please provide your role?
Yes. The word of the day today is lugubrious. It's an adjective which means mournful, dismal, or gloomy. And what could be the better sentence? Seattle weather is very lugubrious for past few days. And I'll try to capture some incorrect grammar, suggested change or correct way, mid-sentence change of direction, and how many times people have used the word of the day. And I'll present my report at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. Second, I would like to call upon Kathy. Could you please provide your role?
Yes.
A description for your role?
I will be today's counter, and I will be listening for crutch words such as well, so you know. And I will give her these words and make a speech lugubrious if you have too many of them. So I will be listening for those, and I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Next we have Brad as a timer. Brad, will you please explain your role?
Yes, I'm happy to be doing this job today, taking the roll time. 5 to 7 minutes are 2 speeches, so at 5 minutes the green light will go on. And then at 6 minutes the red light, yellow light, 7 minutes the red light. You have 30 seconds each side of that to speak. You qualified. Table topics are 1 to 2 minutes, 1 minute green, 1 minute 30 yellow, 2 minutes red. You have to speak at least 1 minute to qualify, and then evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes, so 2, 2.5, and 3 minutes. Give your report at the end.
you, Brad. And I will introduce my remainder of the evaluation team once the speeches are done. With that, Annie.
Thank you, Dipendra. And I hate to put you on the spot, but I do notice that we have another guest here today. Would you like to just stand up and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Tanya McClendon. I'm a chiropractor. I'm new to the area, and I sought out to come visit Toastmasters, and I'm glad to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. We have a great meeting in store. The theme is rainy days, so I am going to share one weird fact. The least rainiest place on earth is not the desert. I'm sure many of you suspect that the desert would have the least amount of rain, but that's not true. It may be covered with ice, but Antarctica gets only 6.5 inches of rain or snow per year, making it the continent with the lowest annual rainfall by far. On the other end of the spectrum, Colombia absorbs 534 inches of rainfall per year, and North America is relatively dry by comparison, collecting 256 inches of rain annually. So I thought that was quite interesting. Also, just something for you to note, Seattle is not the rainiest place either in North America. There are several other places that collect much more rain. I think for us it's just the overcast and that lugubrious weather that we see all the time that makes it feel like it rains a lot, but annually we don't collect that much. So, without further ado, we have two wonderful speakers today. And the first speaker is Sunil, and the title of his speech is Trying New Things. He's speaking out of the Competent Communication Manual number 8, getting comfortable with visual aids. So please help me welcome Sunil.
Fellow Toastmaster, honorable guest, and everyone. Life is full of opportunity and new things to try. Do we really try the new things even we have opportunity to try? I would like to think about this for a moment. Take a pause for a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think about the routines you follow, the everyday routines, the routine you follow weekly, yearly. What do you realize about those routines? Is it something like this? Snooze button in the morning, coffee, you commute, meeting after meeting, you commute back, Netflix, paid, and then we'll all throw up our hands and say, can't believe January is almost over. Are we really stuck with these routines? Routine like this become so familiar and we didn't realize the fact that we're just cruising through the life. Even though we have enormous universe with 7 different continents, more than 200 countries, more than 7 billion people, and thousands of languages, and hundreds of thousands of unique different experiences, we'll still stick to what we do and what we know. And then we wonder why we're stuck, still, and stagnant. Feeling stuck is normal. What's not normal is keep living in the same way day after day, year after year. And if you're driving through some muddy terrain in your car and your tire gets stuck in the ditch, what do? Do you spin your wheel and keep staying there? Or you just sit there and spin your wheel? I would think no. you'll try to do everything in your power to get out from the ditch and to keep move forward. Therefore, my recommendation for all of you guys this year, try something new, things in a life which is beyond your comfort zone. You may say, well, wait, why should I try something new which is beyond my comfort zone? Because trying a new thing helps you to overcome fears. In most cases, fear is the things that keep us from trying a new thing. I'd like to give some example. And then, sorry, not the example right now. So we are afraid of the investment, consequences, and the worst cases scenarios. And what if I don't like it? Don't forget that your current safe boundaries were once unknown frontier. For example, I have this fear about playing soccer with the unknown players. I used to have a fear that what other players used to think about my soccer skills. And once I moved to this gloomiest city of Seattle, I started playing pickup soccer with unknown players. I played with them for a few weeks, and my fears towards playing with the unknown players gone eventually. So therefore, consider this. What is the worst thing that can happen if I try the things I always wanted to try? In most cases, you'll spend some time, either you'll like those new things, either you don't like those things, or you love that thing. But it will help you to overcome the fears towards trying a new thing in the next time. It will also help to keep you. It will also help you to know better about yourself. To answer the previous question that I raised, what if I don't like it? So at least you know you don't like the thing to try, and at least you know that thing is not right for you. When you try a new thing, you eventually get to know what you like, what you dislike, which is previously unknown to you. As you try a new thing, you kind of form of a habit to recognize who you are and who you wanted to become. And I'm not saying you have to ace every problem thing you try. At least it will give you an idea and give you an idea to differentiate what you like and what you dislike in life. Trying new things also helps you to stimulate your creativity. If you ask any of the creative person in this room or anywhere outside how they are creative each day and how they try to differentiate themselves from rest of the other, and they'll tell you the key to success is key to success is determining and always wanting to try new things in life. When you try new things, you keep your brain in a unique situation where it will force you to think about the things. And whenever this stimulates the creativity, which eventually rub off in a different area of the life. As a result, you begin to think about everything in a new light. To paraphrase Mr. Robert Frost, two roads diverge in a brain, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sunil. I think you have a very good point. We always complain that time goes so fast, and yet we have these routines set in place. So I think get out and try some new things. That call to action is great. If anybody hasn't seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, it's a fantastic movie, and he just says yes to everything. I love it. It'll totally change your perspective. So, timer, could we please have 1 minute for evaluation? Thank you. Okay. It is now time for our second speech of the meeting. We have Ms. Kate Annenson. She will be doing Project 5, Your Body Speaks. The title of her speech is Controllers to Wiimotes to Joy-Cons, How Nintendo Keeps Changing the Game. Hopefully I said that correctly.
Yes.
It isn't as simple as pressing a couple of buttons anymore. Gaming on a Nintendo console has changed quite a bit in the past 30 years. Here's a bit about what we can learn from a company that is always pushing the envelope. So please help me welcome Kate.
That was the sound of my childhood right there. I love Nintendo, I love gaming, I always have. Some of my fondest memories are sitting on the floor playing Nintendo and losing horribly, dying over and over again, usually as player 2 to my sister, hashtag younger siblings. But it's really a cool company, and as I've gotten older, I've grown to kind of respect their business model a little bit more as I know more about them. Nintendo actually started in the late 1800s as a playing card company. Of course, then in the mid-20th century, they switched over to children's toys, and then they switched over again and jumped on the video game bandwagon when that came out, and they pretty much dove headfirst into that sector. They came out with Donkey Kong, great arcade game, super fun, difficult to master, high replay value. And we as humans, of course, when we see a cool thing out in the world, the first thing we want to do is find a way to miniaturize it, take it with us home, and play in the comfort of our own home without talking to other humans. Nintendo recognized this and did a very good job coming up with the Nintendo Entertainment System. This was in 1985, and you can see those wonderful 8-bit graphics that we've got there. Bright colors, fun gameplay, very earwormy music that can stick with you for years and years to come, but overall pretty basic. It was easy to learn, it was difficult to master, and that is something you'll see that carries throughout Nintendo's trends. Now additionally, you'll notice that that console is pretty vintage 80s looking there with its 2 controllers, very few buttons. Again, easy to learn and difficult to master. But it played on cartridges, which didn't store a whole lot of space. There wasn't a whole lot of room for more data there. So of course in 1991, they came out with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This is a trend you'll also see in Nintendo. They kind of come out with one console that breaks the mold, does something new and exciting, and then 5 or 6 years later comes out with a much better version of the same concept. So this one had twice the amount of pixels, super exciting there, which allowed for more detailed characters, more intensive gameplay, new storylines, all of that. Again, super fun. Controller was basically the same as the classic, just had a handful of extra buttons added on there, and still used cartridges to play. In 1996, Nintendo decided to break the mold a little bit further here. Oh, okay. Apparently this is wired for sound. That's cool, because my laptop is off. That's fine, we won't watch the 3D video. Anyway, Nintendo 64 broke the mold again by coming out with 3D graphics, which was really wonderful and allowed for a whole new immersive experience for their gamers. You'll also notice that that weird controller up there with the 3 handles, which does not make sense, but I have nostalgia with it, so I'll defend it till I die, but it has a joystick on it, and this allowed for a lot more control of your character in that 3D environment. But it still ran on cartridges, graphics were 1990s graphics, you know, they did their best. It was pretty good for what we had at the time. and a little bit groundbreaking, but it was perfected.
For Mario 64.
That's just gonna, cool. It was perfected in the Nintendo GameCube. This ran on discs instead of cartridges, had much better graphics, more intensive game through, added in more physics that worked well in the environment. And it changed up the controller to a lot more logical shape, and also had 2 joysticks. So it allowed you to not only control your character within the game, but to control the view or camera around them. So you could really appreciate that 3D environment that the artists allow you to immerse yourself in. Again, super fun, easy to learn, difficult to master, and just really overall a great system. Jump ahead to 2006, and Nintendo decided to break the mold yet again. The Nintendo Wii was really fantastic because it came out during a time where all game companies were catering to an elite force of adult gamers playing super intensive RPG games, role-playing games, first-person shooters, fantasy, a lot of things that took a lot of time to learn. The learning curve was very high. Nintendo looked at their audience and they said, well, that's good for you, but I'm gonna create something for the casual gamer, the kids, the families. They did, and it was enormously successful. When the Wii came out, it definitely changed the game. You'll notice that the controller there is just a single Wiimote with a safety wrist strap. Don't diss the wrist strap. Nobody is too good for a safety strap. My friend Omari's head will attest to that. They are there for a reason. Now the cool thing about the Wiimote is that it was motion controlled. There are very few buttons on there, so it was intuitive. If you were playing a bowling game, you actually need to bowl with the Wiimote. If you were playing tennis, same deal. How you moved your arm would affect how your character or avatar moved their arm in the game. I call this kind of a baby step into virtual reality. Like, we're getting there. You're getting used to the motions. You're getting used to seeing your own motions projected on the screen in front of you. The Wii was really great. It had enormous revenue that was brought into Nintendo, and overall did very well as a game. Now the Nintendo Switch, which also has a video which I will not play because it's very loud, was the polished version of the Nintendo Wii. Now this was something that came out just in March of last year, so it's still got that newfangled game sense about it, but it was changing the game not just in motion control, but in the fact that it is both a console you play at home on your TV and something you take with you on the go. Flawlessly, just with unplugging a cord, you can switch between those 2 modes. The 2 controllers there, instead of being a single Wiimote, are actually 2 Joy-Cons, because they all get special names now. And these are much more sensitive than a Wiimote. They don't need to remain that contact with the laser hub back at home base there, and they have an enormous amount of sensitivity and finesse to how you're moving. Again, kind of intuitive. In Super Mario Odyssey, for example, there's an attack where he throws his hat out. You actually have to use the Joy-Cons to make that motion. It's intuitive, easy to learn, but it's kind of difficult to master. Same trend with Nintendo in general. So what can we learn from Nintendo's business model? Well, they knew their market. They knew when to get into kids' toys. They knew when to get into video games. They knew when to make it into 3D and motion controlled. They had a very good sense of the voids that they could fill within their current audience. They're very innovative. They looked at something and said, hey, that's cool, how can we make that better? Or that's cool, how can we put that into our video game system? And again, had resounding success from it. They also weren't afraid to take risks, obviously releasing the Wii at a time where family games were kind of looked down upon and seen as simplistic for the casual gamer. They released that and saw a lot of success. However, they were also not afraid to fail. In between the Wii and the Switch, they released the Wii U, which was a clunky, horrible flop of a console that did not do what it was supposed to do and just really broke them for a little bit there. However, they learned from that and said, you know, some stuff about this worked and we like it, and some stuff is pretty terrible. So they created the Switch, learning from that failure, and are now the world's largest video game company by revenue. So clearly they are doing okay. They also stayed true to their core concepts. Again, easy to play, hard to master games. They still have the same cast of characters that they had back in the late 1980s. Mario and Luigi, Link and Zelda, you still see them popping up all over the place. So, I think Nintendo's got a pretty cool and workable business model. I also have strong nostalgic tendencies with them, as you might after seeing this presentation. So I encourage you, if you have an old game system, to go home and just plug it in, play around for a little bit. I think you will find that the games were just as difficult as when you were 6, so be prepared to die a lot. Thank you.
That was great. I think it's funny because I just bought one of the old Nintendo systems from '85 for my kids for Christmas.
Oh, the mini NES? You got one of those, or an original?
It's one of the mini ones.
We'll talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are hard to find right now.
They are hard, it was expensive,
Yes.
way more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but it's very fun and it does bring back that nostalgia. May we please have 1 minute for evaluations, Mr. Fenner? Okay, thank you. It is now time for our impromptu fun part of the meeting where we get to do table topics. So I would love to introduce our table topics master, Mr. Jorge Restrepo.
Hopefully technology works today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Toastmaster President, and guests, honored guests. We are going to be talking about the topic of rainy days. And topic number one, let's call on several people to be able to talk a little bit about these different topics. Any volunteers? Or should I volunteer someone? No volunteers. I'm gonna get somebody wet. Pat? Okay. Good morning. Pat, you are our newly hired weather woman. And our audience is very interested to learn about the Pineapple Express. So what can you tell us about it? Thank you.
I am so excited. The Pineapple Express is coming to Seattle. Are we lucky or what? It's winter. But in Hawaii, it's warm and delicious. And for a change, instead of our weather coming down from Alaska with its cold and its rain and the lugubrious weather, the clouds that we get, it's terrible. Instead, we're going to get the rain that approaches from Hawaii, which is soft and warm and accompanied by double rainbows. And when it's not raining, why, then we have sunshine. Think of palm trees with your eyes closed. You're gonna love it. For the next 3 days, we will have the Pineapple Express here in Seattle. And put away your raincoats, get out there and enjoy all that this Pineapple Express has to offer.
Thank you. I thought the Pineapple Express had to do with the pineapple-sized drops. Okay, so we are looking for our second weatherman. Naga, would you volunteer? Hi, Naga. So, what we have today is we are going to want to learn about the convergence zone in Seattle. So what can you tell us about that?
When you say, one question, when you say conversion zone, is it related to the weather or?
Yes.
Okay, I would start the conversion zone in Seattle as a lugubrious because you cannot predict what it is. And the weather, I checked last week, they were predicting like, I'd look up my phone and they would say it's going to be raining the next 2 days and 3 days will be sunny. But to my surprise, the next 2 days were sunny and the next 3 days were actually raining, which is kind of opposite. So I think the conversion or the Seattle prediction is completely confusing, and I would particularly say the weather is lugubrious. Thank you.
Very good. So that people don't be nervous, you know, the newly hired weather people can be wrong more than half the time. And you will not get fired. Number 3, Vivek. How does the Northwest compare with South Florida in terms of annual rainfall?
Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to today's edition of The Weather, where we will be discussing about how the Seattle weather is compared to the South Florida weather. As myself have not been to South Florida, so I'll just make some predictions and some assumptions. I've been in Seattle for 10 years, so I can talk a lot about Seattle. Seattle weather is always lugubrious, where it is shining only for 55 days in a year. And when I moved from another place, I didn't find much difference because the place which I was living before was in the same latitude as Seattle. So for me, it was not a big change. But before the previous place, I was living in another place which had sun all the year round, like we have it in Eastern Washington. So if I have to compare the Seattle weather, I would say it's very lugubrious. And if I have to say the South Florida weather, it may not be that lugubrious. So if you want to really have fun in winter time, I would say go to Florida, and if you go over there, hop over to the Disney and the Universal, and you will have more fun. Thank you.
Actually, the lugubrious part of our weather does not have to do with the rain. It has to do with the lack of sun. Funny enough, Florida has about twice the rainfall, southern Florida, twice the rainfall, the annual rainfall compared to Seattle. It actually is 61.9 to 66 inches of rain a year, whereas Seattle gets about 37, but it's 9 months out of the year. The good news is that we're about 2 months away from a little bit of sun again. Okay, so we have a 4th topic. Amy?
One more.
No, I was just saying one more.
One more.
One more, we got time for one more.
Come on over.
Oh, thank you.
I got
Hi,
Good morning.
it's afternoon, but I'll take it.
Number 4, number 5, number 6, or number 7?
Give me the softball. Number 6.
Number 6. What is acid rain and what causes it?
Howdy ho, good neighbors. Acid rain. I can't believe my minute's already up. It seems like I just got up here and the broadcast just started on my green screen right here behind me. Acid rain, for those of us from Seattle, will all know that acid rain is caused from listening to Jimi Hendrix. And when Jimi Hendrix really starts into a lick on his guitar, you can just feel the acid that Jimi Hendrix took. How else do you come up with that? So acid rain, we all think it's caused by too much carbon emission. I'm here to debunk that myth and say that acid rain is caused by Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix, rock and roll icon that he is, will always be remembered for Purple Rain, Acid Rain, and the Reign of Terror. Back to you, Jorge. Thank you.
Do we have time for one more?
No, I was gonna throw out Purple Haze.
Purple
Rain was Prince.
Now, I thought the acid rain had to do with the cleansing of the clean coal.
Jorge, that was wonderful. Thank you all for spoke. It is now time for the evaluation portion of our meeting, so I will call up our general evaluator, Kendra, to introduce the rest of his evaluation team.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you to all the speakers for the wonderful topics. Now, I'd like to invite Pat Sultan to evaluate our first speaker, Sunil. Please help me welcome Pat.
Greetings, Toastmasters, guests, and especially Sunil. Sunil was doing Project 8 out of the Competent Communicator Manual, and his objective was to select visual aids that are appropriate for your message and audience, and to use them correctly with ease and confidence. There were so many parts of your speech, Sunil, that I really loved. Your beginning, where you asked us to close our eyes and just think. It was nice. I felt relaxed, but at the same time, you drew me in. And I loved your ending by Robert Frost. How you altered that poem was quite brilliant, actually. And the entire structure of the speech was very good. You had a clear beginning, you had several points in the body, and they were each adequately exemplified with points that I related to. For example, talking about fear and comparing it with a car in a ditch. That was particularly apt. So thank you, because boy, I sure relate to that car in the ditch. From Minnesota, I know cars and ditches. And your ending, it almost had a call to action to it. It didn't almost, it did. Step out of your comfort zone. Join Toastmasters. It's a safe place to fail, they say. It is. Look at me. I personally am very uncomfortable using slides. When I had to give a speech using visual aids, I used fruit. Another time, I used a container of Rice Krispie bars. That worked. But you designed slides that were very clear. You had very few slides. You left them up and you talked about them. A suggestion that I would have would be, don't stand in front of the slides, because I know the words were good. I couldn't see them because you were standing right here. Rather, stand off to the side and let the screen be your partner, so that you're talking and people can look at the screen if they choose, but be focused on you. I think the best part of your speech was your pace. didn't speak too fast. You didn't speak too slowly. You just kept talking and making one point after the other that added to the content and the message you were trying to bring across. So I want to thank you and look forward to seeing your next speech.
Thank you, Pat. Next, I would like to invite Linda to evaluate Kate's speech.
Thank you.
You guys are really lucky today. You're getting 2 evaluators from the Old Women's School of How to Live. Like my good friend Pat, I hate doing those things myself. I absolutely am in terror of them. When I had to do my visual aid speech, I took a bunch of books, and if I didn't like them, I threw them down. If I did like them, I held them up. That was how I deal with my comfort zone. Oh, yeah. However, today we're going to talk about Kate. Kate, as I listened to you, I had an epiphany that every time you get up to speak, it is about joy. You exhibit so much joy in how you approach the speech. You're excited, you're always positive, and you just glow when you speak. You are one of my favorite speakers, and I just realized it's joy. So thank you for giving us 5 to 7 minutes of joy. I really appreciated that. You lived up to your reputation today. However, because you are a very good speaker, I am going to really call you out on a few things, because this was a speech about visual aids. Or not visual, excuse me, your body speaks. I can't read. There were 10 different body postures and situations that they wanted me to look at. 8 out of the 10, perfecto. The other 2, we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the fact, oh yeah, I was so dizzy by the time you did here, you did it here,
Yep.
and you're here, so you are an equal opportunity, just like go with the flow.
Maybe it wasn't music.
Maybe it was the music that I wasn't hearing, absolutely. I would say that was my biggest thing I would say you really need to improve on. I know you can. Once you know about it now, you are going to have that nailed from now on. The other thing was a little minor. You had some distracting gestures. You straightened out your necklace at one point, and another point you raised up your sleeves.
Yeah.
But that was it. Your other gestures were gorgeous, beautiful. I would not have changed a thing. You were so natural and so wonderful in them. Other things I really liked about your speech is your composition was perfect. You had it well. It was well organized. You actually can do PowerPoint, and you did it well, and it was beautiful. The other thing about me, I'm the only person in North America under the age of 80 who has never, ever played a video game. So I was totally lost, but I knew what you were talking about. I was very happy. I would love to also mention, I loved your phraseology. Easy to learn, difficult to master. You repeated that again and again. Beautiful use of that. I'll defend to my death. I like that. Nobody's too good for a wee strap. I love that. And your ending, be prepared to die a lot. So, and you also, what you did really well is you also adjusted really well when your audio came out. You weren't expecting it. So almost perfect speech. Just those 2 little changes, and you are a killer. Thank you, and you should win every game.
Thank you, Linda. It's a wonderful evaluation. Next, I would like to call upon Brad to provide his timers report.
Yes. Wow, good job, everybody. The speakers were 7 minutes and 19 seconds for Sunil, and Kate, 7 minutes, 27 seconds. Table topics, Pat was at 1 minute 3 seconds. Naga, you only hit 37 seconds, so you don't qualify. Vivek, 1 minute 23, and Randy, 1 minute 9. So those 3 qualified. And then Pat was 3 minutes 7 seconds, and Linda was 3 minutes 11 seconds. So they utilized their time well to do this evaluation.
Sure. Thank you. And just for a reminder for the table topic speakers, we had Pat, Naga, Vivek, and Randy. Now we can clap. Next, I'd like to ask Vivek for the grammarians report, please.
Yes, good afternoon everyone again. And I think we had a very good usage of the word of the day today. We had like 4, 3, 7, 8 times. Good. And Naga used it twice, Pat and Kathy used it, I used it, and Amy, you also used it. No, sorry. Amy, you used it. And probably Kathy also used it. Yes, Kathy also used it. And for some good languages and some incomplete sentences, Sunil, I don't know, it is like what you like and dislike, what you like and dislike. Actually, what are your likes and dislikes? Probably that would be a good way to put it. And then when you were saying stock, I think you mean stuck. So I was looking because my mind was like, oh, the stock market is going down today, so my mind was going over there. And then you said, keep moving forward. So that one, and then some of the in change of direction midstream was started playing soccer and fear towards, there was some, like you stopped and then you started again on those. But yes, as Pat said, the car in the ditch was a good sentence. And with Kate, I like your hashtag younger sibling. It was like to the current when you are in the Twitter mode and all that. So hashtag younger sibling, that was a really good one. Some good words which were used today, Pat, you used exemplified, was really good. And Linda, you used epiphany. Epiphany. And then phraseology. That was the first time I heard of phraseology. I haven't heard it before, so good. Yep. And Pat, on your table topic, you use like accompanied by double rainbows. So that's all I was able to have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Vivek. Next, I would like to ask Kathy for the counter report, please.
We did a good job today. Amy had one so, Kendra had one Sunil one Kate had about 5 ahs. Linda one Pat, I didn't hear anything. Vivek, you had a couple of ahs, and since you were listing all of our members, you kind of connected them with and had this and how to, you know, all, I mean, I know you're doing a list, but it's like lots of ands. Jorge, a few ums and ahs, and I didn't hear anything on the table topics, so good job, everyone.
Thank you, Kathy. And then from my side, great job by the evaluation team. Vivek, thanks for stepping up at the last minute. Linda, Pat, you two are someone I look up to for anything you do within the table in Toastmasters role. So very good evaluations. And for the timers report, Brad, thank you for keeping track of the specific time to the dot, keeping us all honest. So overall, I think a very wonderful meeting. With that, I'd like to invite my partner, Amy.
I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for going into Easy Speak and accepting your roles, because I think when I looked at it on Monday, 90% had accepted their roles on time, which is fantastic. Yes, Steve?
I just want to make a comment. So last Wednesday after the meeting, I went into the mobile Easy Speak site, and I accepted my role, my attendance, and I was supposed to be speaking today. And I accepted that, clicked yes, and then started preparing, and then Sunday I went into Easy Speak and looked, and not only was I not confirmed, but I had also dropped off of the agenda. Now, I didn't make a big deal of it because, honestly, I didn't have time. I'd begun preparing my speech, but it worked out better that I didn't have to give one. But, so if you're confirming meetings on mobile, do not depend on it. Because for the last month, I've been doing that. In every meeting, someone has come to me and said, you didn't confirm. So do not trust the mobile.
Is there somebody that we can talk to let them know that that's?
I don't know I don't know where that lives.
I can talk to the guy. Paul Osborne?
unless you're using a PC, I would not count on your confirmation.
When you're talking about the mobile site, I'm talking about an app.
No, just Easy Speak on my phone.
Well, if you go in under meeting, it'll open up, you see meeting agenda, it'll open up the actual
Oh yeah,
website.
I've clicked yes, I've clicked on confirm my role, I've clicked confirm that I'm speaking, I've done every which way that you can confirm, I've done it, and it is,
It's not responding.
Are you supposed to do a save?
I saved it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've even entered information, like speech information before, and it hasn't saved it.
Interesting.
So we-
Maybe they need an app.
Just an FYI.
Let's say, maybe it's
Well, my next
over
speech
now.
will be about that.
There's an app for that.
Thank you, Steve. I won't be upset with you then for not accepting your role, I guess.
Okay.
Just joking. I don't get that upset anyway. Okay. I do have to give you one more fun little fact about rain, just because I printed all these up before we move on. Rain doesn't always make the ground wet. In dry, hot places, rain sometimes evaporates before it hits the ground. Environmentalist Edward Abbey describes phantom rain this way. You see curtains of rain dangling in the sky while the living things wither below for want of water. Torture by tantalizing hope without fulfillment. Then the clouds dissipate into nothingness, which I just thought was very powerful. So, without further ado, we are going to do our award section of the meeting. Please. We'll start with Best Table Topics. Randy, come on down.
See, it must have been purple rain. There's a song that never got released.
Okay, and next, Best Evaluator, Linda. Yeah, you were, but you made us laugh.
Thank you.
Okay, and Best Speaker, Miss Kate Amundsen. Thank you. And I would love to now invite Linda back up the stage. She has an announcement to make.
Thank you. Thank you. Toastmasters could only have been invented in the United States. I cannot think of any other country that would come up with that sort of, let's get better at things, let's help everybody. It just is, it's a truly American thing. Toastmasters also has something in common with the United States, that sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes our country makes mistakes, and sometimes Toastmasters makes mistakes. And I'm here to tell you, my friends, as your area director, that Toastmasters made a huge mistake in the last few months. One of our members won a triple crown, and Toastmasters did not recognize it. In fact, when this person said, "But I deserve a triple crown," management said, "No, you don't." When that person said, here is the screenshot of all the things I've accomplished," they said, "Send it to International." Send it to International. They said, "Well, yeah, it looks good, send it back to the bosses at District 2. So finally, after months of heartbreak, the problem was corrected, the mistake was corrected. I want to call up today Mr. Randy Barber.
Even more dramatic than I remember the story.
Oh, the tears and the cursing, I mean, you got it done. I want to explain what a triple crown is. Randy got he achieved 3 different award levels in 1 year. He got a CC, a CL, and an ALB. That's huge. What's even bigger is that he did it in his very first year. He was not sandbagging. He had to start out fresh and achieved all 3 of those. That is remarkable. Because most of the rest of us who do triple crowns, we're sandbagging. We want to go here. You came from nowhere. You did it by joining 2 clubs. I think that was a huge help. And you also told me you're about halfway to making a triple crown this next year. That's correct. Which just shows you are skilled, you are determined, you know where you're going, and you deserve the triple crown pin. So Mr. Randy Barber, there you go. On behalf of a great big And now, accepting for Randy Barber will be
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay. We do have a joke that we're going to share really fast before Steve comes up and finishes off the meeting. Pat, would you like to share your joke?
Sure. A CEO who is new to the factory in which he'd been hired decided that he needed to show them, all those people on the factory floor, who was boss. He was going to chop off somebody's head. They were going to lose their job, and then everybody else would know he needed respect. He had earned it, and by golly, they're going to give it to him. So he went to the factory floor, and he saw everybody nose to the grindstone. They were working really hard, except one guy who was leaning against a wall. Well, who do you think is going to lose their job? So he walked over to this guy and said, "How much do you make?" And the guy holding up the wall said, "I make $400 a week." So the CEO pulled out his wallet, figured out $1,600, and handed it to the guy and said, "Here's a month's severance pay. Leave now and don't come back." So he walked over to one of the workers and said, "By the way, what is it that guy does?" "Well, that's our pizza delivery guy."
Thank you, Pat. Thank you all for a wonderful meeting. I will now call up our president, Steve Beaumont.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you so much for also opening the meeting. Thank you, Amy. I want to applaud you on your time management today. Wonderful. We started on time and were able to finish on time, so that's rare for us. So thank you very much for that. Maybe you should open all the meetings. Couple quick things that I want to mention. First of all, there is a new advanced club that's going to begin meeting on February 24th. And Pat, would you like to?
Sure. An advanced club usually requires that you've given at least 6 speeches or you have a CC. Gives you an opportunity, as Randy did, to give more speeches. They're often a little longer, so you have more in-depth evaluations. They're a lot of fun. They usually don't meet more than once, maybe twice a month. And the meeting on the 24th is for people who are interested in starting that club. It doesn't exist yet. You can be a charter member. So it's at the it's at the, what is it?
Country Village.
Yes, Country Village on Bothell Everett Highway at 9 a.m. I can send all of you information, or Steve can forward an email, and just come.
What
You
time?
want- It's gonna be from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And it's just an initial meeting. We'll have a couple more before the club is even formed, because I don't know when it's going to meet or where it's going to meet. That's up to the members who are starting.
Thank you. And in other announcements, it's time for our international speech and evaluation contest, and we need to have a club level contest, which means there's actually 2 contests. That means we need 2 chairs. So 2 volunteers to chair those contests together, and you will get credit in your CL manual. When? That's the second question. That's the second part of the question. We need people to facilitate the contest, and we need a date. It has to be done before the end of February. That gives us 4 Wednesdays to 5 Wednesdays? 4 Wednesdays to choose from. And one of them is actually going to be the Pathways presentation, isn't it? So the 7th. So we have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Yes.
Our area contest is gonna be late in March, so if you had to go.
Oh, okay. So we can bleed into the first 2 weeks of, preferably get it done by the first week of March.
I would suggest that, yes.
Okay. So with that, we need 2 volunteers that need the experience in their CL manual. You can't get a CL without doing this. So, do we have anyone that's, by the way, there's a lot of other people in the club that have